eucalyptus. Come on. I'm a flower girl. You should know this. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are on my deck, and in front of me, I have a beautiful bar of pretty flowers and greenery and some other pretty things that we are going to use today to make 3 different arrangements. Now, what I really wanted to do today is help you step up your game. If you need the help with your arrangements for the holiday season or Christmas time, I know a lot of us host Christmas parties or Christmas dinner, or if you go to somebody's house and you need a last minute gift idea, I think bringing an arrangement is always such a beautiful gift. So I went out and grabbed some really easy and accessible pretty flowers that you can commonly find at grocery stores or your local florist. And I also have some things from our garden, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And the evergreens that I got is from our trees that we didn't use from our previous decoration. So I'm going to show you 3 very different arrangements. Now, these are ones that you can recreate yourself. You can also make different versions of these arrangements, and you can also make different sizes of these arrangements. That way, if you have a big table that you want to just have like a high impact, you can make a lot of little smaller arrangements and just have it like on top of a beautiful runner on your dining room table. Or again, you can just use a single arrangement either for your table or to bring as a hostess gift. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about the container, the vessels that we're going to be using today. And then I'll show you the flowers and the greenery and some of the things that we foraged from our own garden. And these are probably things that you also have in your garden that you can go out and cut and use for arranging as well. So to begin, let's talk about the vessels that we're going to be using today. I brought these 2 out. Now these are ones that I've had for quite a bit of time. I probably got these maybe like 3 years ago. And both of these were orchid pots, so there were beautiful orchids in them. And then I just bought the actual container by themselves. But it is Christmas time, it's the holidays. So this is where you can go very festive and not think like that's maybe a little bit too much, because again, with the holidays, you want to go all out. So if you can find gold or silver, anything like this would work really well. And then I also have this container here, which is a little bit more like a urn, I would say, a little bit more like an urn, but it's shallow. And this one, we can create something really big and like dramatic. And for this, I would probably use this as a single centerpiece, maybe lay out some moss and have candles around it. I think that would be really, really beautiful. So I think I'll use this one today. And then I have a smaller version of that, which these are easily found on Amazon. So I will make sure to link this one down below for you guys, and I might use this one as well. And finally, we have this clear vase here. Now this is very easily found right now. You can find these at craft stores like Hobby Lobby, Michael's, even grocery stores sometimes has these in the flower section. Or what you could also do is go down to the Dollar Tree and then buy different types of glasses, like different heights and widths, and then create these arrangements in those. And again, line them up at the center of your table with some moss around it and some candles, like white candles would be really beautiful. And I think that would be super impactful. So again, this is just to kind of give you ideas and get those creative juices flowing, especially if you want to create something on your own and not worry about ordering something that sometimes can be a little bit overpriced this time of year. Let me show you the flowers that we're going to be using today, and then we will get started. All of the flowers that we're going to be using today came from Trader Joe's, minus the red roses, which those came from Costco. And I think I spent about $45 for all of my flowers, my eucalyptus and my magnolia that came from Trader Joe's. So very good deal. I have some eurangium here. And then I have alstroemeria. I have some beautiful white roses. I have eucalyptus. I was hoping to get seeded eucalyptus, but they didn't have any. And then I have some carnation, and I have a red one, and then this dual color red and white, which I think is very festive and just very pretty. And what I foraged in my garden, I grabbed some little lime hydrangea heads. These are dry and they're perfect for this project. And then there are some other flower heads that I also pulled from the front garden. And in terms of greens, we have a few different things. We have some cedar, we have fir, I think we have some pine in the cart. And remember, the greens came from our previous video where we got a couple of trees from the National Forest here in Oregon, up in Mount Hood. So we had some greens from that little project, which was a lot of fun. And when I was picking up the flowers at Trader Joe's, there was a landscaper there cutting down a bunch of things in the landscape. And I was like, excuse me, sir, can I please get some of that? Well, thank you, Mr. Gardener at Trader Joe's. Now I don't have to buy too many greens. Win-win. So I got to load up the back of our truck with a bunch of goodies. And if you have local arborists or like tree cutters near your area, you can give them a call and find out if they're cutting down any evergreens right now. And you can just hop on over there and grab some branches. I have done that in the past. Trust me, I am not too proud to go looking and foraging anywhere I can. If it's not in my garden, I'm going to see if I can get a good deal somewhere. Or what you can also do is order from your florist. Now we have a flower market here in Portland. So what I like to do is go over there and I'll usually grab like 3 or 4 boxes of greens, and they're big, big boxes. But those big boxes will allow me to decorate the entire house and garden with them. So that is another option. This year I just got really lucky and didn't really have to spend a ton of money on greens or on flowers. Before we start, I'm just going to finish processing all of our flowers here, because that is going to save you a lot of time when you're working. And we also want to make fresh cuts to everything. Now, obviously we're going to be cutting everything as we go, but if you're going to buy flowers and if you're going to have them in water for a couple of days before you get to them, make sure you just make some fresh cuts. All right, now that we're all organized, we're going to start out with this container, and we are going to use a little bit of floral foam for this here. I don't love to use foam all of the time, but sometimes I will reach for it for projects like this. And then we are just going to make some cuts to our evergreens and then just start sticking it in kind of randomly and see where it takes us. But I kind of have an idea of how I want this to look. So remember, when you're using floral foam, you want to make sure that you're very intentional of where you're going to put your pieces, because you don't want to stick it out. And then wherever you're going to be making your cuts to your evergreens, you want to make sure you do a nice long cut. That way they can drink water more easily that way. And now I'm just going to go in with the greens, and then we will add our flowers after. So this is going to be a really big, big arrangement here. All right, so far this is a very good base. Now what I would like to come in and do is attach some pine cones to the branches just to give it a really fun, naturalistic look. You could continue with the evergreens here and just add some red bows to it. So let me show you. These are some of the red bows that we had left over from our previous decoration video. So look at this. You can just do a bowl of a bunch of beautiful evergreens and then tie a bunch of ribbon to it. And we won't do it to all of them, but this is kind of the look that you would go for. And I think that would be very beautiful and festive on its own. Truly, I think that would be really sweet. And maybe we'll do something with those at the end. But what I would like to do is do the pine cones. So let me move this out of the way and show you. So for the pine cone, we're just going to take some of that floral wire. This is exactly how we did it on our garland in our previous video. We're just going to wrap the base of the pine cone with some floral wire, and this is 22 gauge. And then we are going to cut a little tail off, just like this. And then we're going to come back on our arrangement and just tie them to branches throughout the arrangement. Now, obviously, you want to pick pine cones that are appropriate size for this arrangement. You don't want to get the big, big ones. And you also want to tie it to branches that are a little bit thicker so they can hold on to it. You see that? How it just kind of looks natural and like it belongs there. So I'm going to continue doing that around some of these branches. All right, last one. We don't want to put too many pine cones on here because this is not a pine cone arrangement, but we just want to make sure it has that natural looking feeling. Like you just picked these branches off of a tree with the pine cones intact, like it was effortless. So that looks good to me. All right, I'm just going to come in with a little bit of eucalyptus just to bring in a little bit more blue into this arrangement. And I will say this smells absolutely incredible. So bonus point for that. Now again, we can leave it here or we can keep going, which you know us, we're gonna keep going. And now I'm going to start bringing in some of these dried hydrangea heads. These are so beautiful in arrangements like this. Again, it just has that natural look to it. So we're just gonna go around. All right, let's bring in some blue color into this. We're just going to come in with some eurangium here. A couple just here on the sides. Again, here's another option. You can just leave it here, which I think is very beautiful. But I want to bring in a little bit of color. Now, I wish I had rose hips, because if I had rose hips, that would just be I think that would just be perfect for this type of arrangement. But I looked around my garden and I didn't have any. So what I think I will do is either use the carnation. Let's see what that looks like. The carnation, that would just bring in very festive, or we can go white with the white roses. So see with the white roses, it kind of has a cooler look to it. Let's see. I don't know if I love that. But let me ask Sergey and see what he thinks. What do you think, white or red? I don't want to do red and white though. And I don't want to do the red roses.
Oh, see.
Ooh.
Naturally, I want to say red. It looks darker, festive. I don't know if I like that. I wanted to say the red roses.
The red roses? Okay.
But the white goes very well with the colors you have right now.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine this like silver, like, oh, yellow.
Okay, but watch. So if I take out the white, okay, here, imagine it like this. I think this makes it more white. Yeah. I think it makes it more holiday.
Well, yeah, obviously the red makes it holiday, but the white kind of goes with the thistle, what do you call this guy? Little guy right here.
Eucalyptus. Come on. I'm a flower girl. You should know this.
I'm not a flower boy.
He says he's not a flower boy.
I used to buy carnations for my mom when I had no money.
Did you guys hear him? He says, I used to buy carnations for my mom when I had no money. I don't know, Sergey. I disagree. I think it adds...
White.
You think white?
White.
Okay, well, you guys tell me if you guys like the white or would you have done red? I kind of think the red brightens it up. So I'm just going to slowly open up the roses. What I wanted to do is use rose hips, but we don't have rose hips. I think that would have been perfect. But I do have these faux berries, and I think that will, hold on, let's see how that looks. So I think we'll do that. And I think that actually will be a compromise. I think the red roses are just a little too heavy. Again, if I had rose hips or like some type of berry, I think that's what I was going for. The carnations would also work. I think carnations are beautiful, and I don't think people give them enough credit. And I'm going to show you a little trick with the carnations here in a minute, how you can make them look even better. So now I'm just going to tuck in berries or roses everywhere. Is that a hand warmer for me? Thank you. It's so cold.
You're going to put them inside your glove?
No, because it's hard to work with.
You You hold on to it?
Yeah, I just warm up my hands a little bit and then I put them down. Gardener hack, hand warmers, because it's so cold out here. It might not look like it, but I'm like shivery a little bit. Now with these faux berries, you can get really creative with them. You can even have them draping down the container. So like you could just kind of fix them so that they're kind of draping down like this. And I think that is also very interesting and beautiful. And if you really wanted to get creative, you can get some ornaments, some smaller ornaments, and use that floral wire, and then also tie it around and have ornaments kind of hanging off like this. That could be very beautiful as well. So it's really all about what you want your arrangement to show off. You can even pop some in to your actual arrangement, which brings in a little bit of color like that. So if I just take my hand out, that's what it would look like. And I think that's actually very beautiful. I'm just gonna finish tucking these faux berries in, and I think this one will be complete. Now, the last thing you wanna do with your arrangement is take a step back. Now, this is critical because this is where you're gonna take your arrangement from here to up here, is make sure you have all of your mechanics covered up. So your floral foam. So this is where you come in with little pieces of evergreens and just hide them, even like little branches like this. You just want to make sure you go in and tuck them into that foam to, again, conceal anything we might have left exposed. And this also allows you to really step back and look at the size of your arrangement to make sure it's flowing on both sides well. So it's nice and balanced and it's not too heavy on one greenery over here. For example, there's this piece of cedar sticking out right here and it feels a little bit unbalanced on this side. So I'm gonna add a little bit more to that other side. That looks perfect. So here is arrangement number one. It's large and in charge, and I love the way this one turned out. All right, for our next one, we are going to be using this glass container, and I want this to be very heavy on the cedar. Now, because this is transparent, you want to make sure that you have clean water and you don't have any gunk in your water. You might even have to switch it out once we're done, but I think that is going to be, again, what makes things like this very beautiful and impactful. So again, we're just going to come in with our greens first, like this. And now we're just gonna make kind of a ring around this container. All right, and now we're going to come in with our red roses. Now, when you get roses, they don't particularly have the nicest leaves. So I always make sure to remove all of the leaves on our roses. Let's see, before arranging with them. And I think out of all of these arrangements, this one I think is going to be probably the quickest to put together. And remove some of those guard petals when you buy your roses because we want it to look beautiful and fresh. And then I'm going to come in with the Alstroemeria and tuck this in between the roses. I think this is just a very traditional type of arrangement. I usually go for things that are a little bit more naturalistic and a little wild, but during the holidays, I think it's nice to have some traditional elements like this and shapes. Now, if you didn't have a budget and you kind of wanted to go all out, like just crazy with some of your flowers, you could definitely buy things like amaryllis. You can get those at your florist. And they are spendy, but they're absolutely beautiful in arrangements. You could also use things like tulips this time of year if you can source them. Red tulips are always beautiful in these types of arrangements. So you can really get creative. You can also use poinsettias. You can cut them, buy a plant and then just cut the flower off and use those in arrangements. But who doesn't love red roses during the holidays like this? And I know a lot of people don't love carnations, but I do think they can be very beautiful little flowers. In fact, you can come in and take the center off of them, just like this, and it kind of gives them a whole nother look. See how it just makes it a little bit more open and just, I don't know, kind of sweet looking. And with the cedar, I like to just have it drape over the container like this because it just adds a little bit of flowiness to it. So it doesn't, again, look so rigid and looks more natural. There is arrangement number 2. All right, now in arrangement number 3, I am just going to make a little pillow with my chicken wire, which we've talked about all of these mechanics before. If you guys want to go back and watch those videos on flower arranging, I will link them down below. And we're going to follow the same routine. We're going to start in with our greens and then come in with our flowers. And I think this one, let's go ahead and just go all out with this one and just put in a bunch of berries and maybe some ornaments too. All right, for this last one, I am going to take some floral wire. I love the way this turned out. And this is a thicker gauge one, something just that's really firm. And then I'm going to wrap arrangements around this just like this, and then see if I can feed that through and just tuck it in like this. So do you guys see that arrangement in there? Just adds another layer of Christmas. So let me just tuck these in and then we'll have a look. And you can use different colored or ornaments too, like gold or silver, something that matches whichever container you're using. That way it kind of complements each other a little bit better. But I have red, and I think red and silver go well together. And I also added some of the faux berries, and those are just kind of in there between the greens. They're not in the water, but they're tucked in really nicely, so they're not going to go anywhere. All right, I think that is good. I love the way this one turned out. And that is arrangement number 3. All right, that will do it for our winter arrangement tutorial. I hope this gave you some ideas and got your juices flowing for inspiration on what you can create yourself at home, so you don't have to go out and order arrangements this year if you're going to be hosting a party or a Christmas dinner, or if you just want to have something beautiful for yourself at home. Hopefully this gave you an idea of what you can do. Again, you don't have to make ones this size. You can just take the same elements and the same ideas and concepts we've used today, and then make it in smaller arrangements. Again, you can go foraging in your own garden for things that you already might have. You might already have rose hips and some dried hydrangeas and some evergreens. So be creative on how you can get some of those ingredients so you're not out buying a ton of them. In terms of creating these in smaller arrangements, you could lay down a beautiful runner with some moss underneath and then a bunch of little arrangements everywhere. I think that would be so beautiful and lovely. I would love to do that this year. Obviously, our house isn't done yet. So next year, hopefully, we will have a beautiful decorating video together. But at least this way, you kind of know what my ideas are during this time of year, what I like to do. If you're not going to make arrangements for yourself, this could be a lovely holiday or Christmas host gift. So that will wrap up today's video. I would love for you guys to vote down below which one is your favorite, number 1, 2, or 3. I would love to hear back from you guys and see which of these arrangements were your favorite. So anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.